guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Good morning. The superpowers that be have asked me to come out here and shoot a little quick video of this. This is the Stryker 955 HP, the one that we call the strap-on. This is the chrome penis version. This is using a Ranger board, but it's been heavily modified from the Ranger board configuration. All the Ranger components that were in this kit have been completely removed and replaced by myself and Zane from Big Rig Radio, and this is a heavily modified Ranger amp board that's attached to this Stryker. So what we've got is a Stryker 955. It's brand new, been modified and aligned in the whole 9 yards, and then we've strapped a 800 watt amplifier on the bottom of it and done some other custom modifications to it, and that's what we're here to talk about today. Is I wanted to showcase this amp. This radio and this amplifier. This is one of the last of these versions that we're going to build. We're currently in process of developing our own kit that goes on the bottom of this thing that will be universal, that we're going to start mass producing pretty soon, to where we're going to be able to take any of the large cased export radios like this and be able to add this thing to it. And it's pretty neat. We're in the end run stages of that. Each one of them is going to be a hand-built construction kind of deal, but when you're in the land of custom one-off creations, you're going to get as close to production as you can get, but still they're going to have to be a little bit of personal modifications. So you have all your normal functions of a Stryker, except for the fact that you have a side mic. The side mic is not a standard Stryker option, but it's something that we've gone ahead and added to this case. And yeah, let me get this thing disconnected from power real quick, and then we'll do a quick spin around. I'm going to flip the radio over, but all the colors are fully functional on this. This radio is literally brand new out of the box, ready to rock and roll. Me personally, I like the dark blue. It's just me, but it's a real booger on your eyes when you're driving at night. So let's get this thing. Let's, one, get the camera off the tripod here for a minute, and two, let's take this thing and set it down flat and flip it around and look at it for a minute. So let's talk about what we got going on for scales and meters here for a quick second, going right to left. 1,000 watt slug and peak, 1,000 in average. 5 watt slug in forward position. And the reason we need to do that is because I want to show you guys something. The radio we have set up so if you're feeding at 15 volts, you're going to dead key 1 watt. Okay? Well, let's pull this 5 watt slug out of line. We're going to put a 50 watt slug. Put a 50 watt slug in this first hole. Once again, 1 watt. Now the switch, the indicator switch that's on the bottom of this thing, you got blue, green, red. Okay? We're currently in the red position, which means the amp section is off. We don't have this auto for a reason. Green means go, blue means cool down. And what does blue mean? If you're sitting there and you're running this thing and really mauling on it and getting it hot. Now, yes, it does have the upgraded 120 millimeter fan on it. Yes, this does have a half a farad worth of internal storage capacitance inside. You can see it through the heat sinks. We've got these big electrolytics inside this thing. If you're sitting here running this thing pretty hard, you want to let this cool off for a few minutes before you shut the amp down. So we're leaving that up to the user to control that. 9 times out of 10, when we shut the radio off like this, the amp would shut off with it. But what we wanted to do was leave it so that the radio was independent from the amp deck, and that you, the operator, was in control of what was going on with the situation. So blue is standby, green is go. Now, with 1 watt going in, it gets you a 15 watt carrier coming out. Now, let's go ahead, we'll put this back into red position, which is off. We'll put the 5 watt element back in the hole. So, our bottom end is 1 watt, and our top end on this thing is 3.5 watts. Now, we did this for a reason. We wanted to set up an environment to where it was totally safe for the end user to be able to operate this thing and not overdo the show. Okay, so 1,000 watt, 1,000 watt, this is a peak, that's average, that's 50 watts an average. All the way down again. Let me readjust the camera just a little tiny bit. There we go. Now you guys can see what I'm doing down here with my fingers. 1 watt in, amp on, 30 watt carrier. Oh, I'm not supposed to do that quite yet. So now we're going to translate over to this meter. So 0, let's keep backing that power down. Come on. So I got our 50 here. We got about 50 over here. Okay, because remember, we're reading this bottom scale, so that 20 is 200, right? So with our 3 watts going in, it gets us about 102 watt dead key with a 3 watts worth of drive. We're going to put our 5 watt slug in, we're going to turn it around, so we're going to be looking at the reflect. Okay? We set that up so there's no way that you can overdrive this. Now this thing does have a couple things that are upgraded to it, like the dual 50 amp Anderson clips. This is very important that we have this. This radio will pull up to 100 amps worth of current. So one 50 amp Anderson clip wouldn't carry it, but 2 safely will do the job. Now, the advantage to that is internally on this device, there's a nice big bridge network that goes across the backside of this thing in the amp board, which will allow us to get enough current to each one of the transistors. This has got 4 HGs in it. It runs like a friggin' Swiss watch. Now, the dual connectors, instead of having pigtails, we wanted to go with the Anderson clips because these come stock with a pigtail that hangs out the back. And then the coax comes off the other side. Well, we utilized those 2 notches in the heatsink and we just put dual clips on it. Worked out way better. We can get more current to the amplifier and to the radio. The radio is fed off the amp deck. In the back is a power strip delete, so there's no longer a power plug on the back. There's no longer a coax connector in the back that would be commonly thought of. When you take this amp board out, the coax connector and everything comes with it. The coax connector in the radio has been deleted and there's been an extra pass-through stud that's been added. So, knowing all of those things, we've got our cool down standby. Now, look, most Strykers do about 90 watts. This does about 102. 103 watts. It's a fairly hot radio. So when we take and we put it into operation, it's flat getting with it. 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. Now of course this thing is biased for sideband. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. That's upper. Here's lower side. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, 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 hello. Now as I'm doing this, we need to be looking over here at this amp gauge. And you'll see that we're consuming about 115 amps worth of draw. Now, on AM, where the modulation saturation into the signal isn't quite as heavy as it is on sideband, which is full modulation. Check this out. We're still making our 800 watts of power. Look at our amp draw. Hello. 40 amps, right? Let's click on down here and go to lower sideband. Hello. 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello. 600 average, 800 peak, but we're pulling 115 amps worth of draw at 14 volts. Hence the reason we need the dual Anderson connectors. This thing is a tight little radio. Like I said, this manual control I like. I'm not a big fan of auto things. I like to have switches and knobs and control of situations, and this allows us to have that. So, on that note, guys, the 955, the latest creation from the amp factory, chrome penis, as we're jokingly calling it. This is a neat little unit with the oversized fan, upgrading the transistors from the DEIs that come in the Ranger board, a whole new board in here. With our transformers, all our circuitry that's in here. Hello, on sideband 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, on sideband 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2, and oh. So turn our power down. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Let's go back to AM. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello, 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. Hello. Now look. Let's fire up the old Fleer Major. If we were running a stock Ranger board on this thing would be screaming hot. 71 degrees, 68 degree ambient air. Little stock boards that come, they're little stock fans. There's little 2 like inch wide fans that sit in here, and they turn into an incredibly ear splitting high RPM. We went with big fan, low RPM, because we know this is going to be right next to the guy's head. It's going to be hanging from the ceiling right next to the guy's head. And I don't know about you, I don't want to sit there and I don't want to listen to 365. I want my amp to run and me be able to talk on the phone, shoot a video with it and do a video presentation. Be able to talk on my radio and not have to get deafened and have to keep turning up the volume because of the fan cooling the amplifier. This is a neat little unit. I am looking forward to building a couple more. We do have a few more in progress. I've got one more, and then I've got a jaw-dropping one that we're currently working on. These things are such a pile of origami to get together. This is the kind of technology that we're talking that we're sticking on the insides of these. And this is another one that's getting ready to come up for completion here. Once again, dual Anderson clips. Once again, big capacitors. Lots of cool stuff coming, but this board that I got in my hand I think is one of the last ones that we're going to do with this version. And then we've got some other really neat technology coming out where we're actually going to step the game forward a little bit, and we've been working really hard on this now for over a year. Yeah. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you tuning in. The Stryker 955 with the chrome strap on. We'll see you.